Welcome to the Chocolate Academy Online. Today in this video, we will be covering all of the techniques you need to know to create a beautiful molded chocolate bar. Throughout this course, we're going to cover several classic topics such as decorations using pre-crystallized cocoa butter and luster dust, how to cast our molds with pre-crystallized chocolate, how to prepare a classic praliné filling, how to close our molds with pre-crystallized chocolate, and how to unmold them. So let's get started. Let's get right to it and begin by preparing our molds. For the ingredients we will use, as needed Calabat 823 Belgian milk chocolate, as needed IBC colored cocoa butter, black and white, as needed IBC creative gold powder. For the tools we will use, the first step is always to polish our molds. Using a soft cloth, polish the molds to remove any dust or traces of chocolate from the previous use. After polishing, we are ready to color the molds. To do this, we begin by pre-crystallizing the black and white cocoa butter. First, make sure they are completely melted at 40 degrees Celsius. Then, one by one, pour them into a piping bag and cool them off on the table until reaching 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. Transfer them back into their bottles, shake well, and place the bottles back into the warmer at 30 degrees Celsius. Cover the table with plastic film. Then, with a gloved hand, apply the tempered black cocoa butter onto the mold using a brush and a flecking motion. Then, place the mold upside down onto a paper towel and clean the mold well. Repeat the same procedure with the pre-crystallized white cocoa butter. Let the mold sit at room temperature until the cocoa butter fully crystallizes. Then, let's add a shiny twist to the mold by placing some gold powder on a brush and gently blowing it onto the mold. Again, place the mold upside down onto a paper towel and clean the mold well to remove any excess gold powder. Then, using a large spoon, fill the mold with pre-crystallized milk chocolate. Make sure the mold is completely filled. Remove the excess with a palette knife. I would recommend taking the chocolate off little by little, starting from the middle of the mold. Doing so will prevent the mold from getting too dirty and having too much chocolate on the sides. Then, tap the mold on the table to remove the air bubbles. Turn the mold upside down over your melting kettle and using the handle of your scraper, tap the side of the mold to remove the excess chocolate. Then, again using your scraper, remove any excess chocolate from the surface of the mold. Place the mold upside down onto a metal tray lined with parchment paper. Let the mold set at room temperature until the chocolate fully crystallizes. Then, turn the mold over and remove any excess chocolate using a scraper. We're now ready to prepare the filling. For the ingredients we will use, 113 grams of Calabat hazelnut praliné, 226 grams of Calabat pure roasted hazelnut paste, 68 grams of Calabat 823 Belgian milk chocolate, 31 grams of Calabat 811 Belgian dark chocolate, 62 grams of cocoa berry pailleté feuilletine. For the tools we will use, combine the hazelnut praliné with the hazelnut paste. Melt the chocolates together in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time at high power. Stir and then place back in the microwave for additional 30 seconds. The final temperature of the chocolate should be 40 degrees Celsius. In the meantime, transfer the pailleté feuilletine into a piping bag and using a rolling pin, lightly crush it. Place back into a bowl. Once the chocolate mixture has reached 40 degrees Celsius, combine with the hazelnut mixture. Pre-crystallize on the marble to 25 to 26 degrees Celsius. For more information about crystallization, watch our technique videos on the topic. I always do a test to check that the crystallization has been completed correctly. To do so, dip a small sheet of paper into the mixture and place the paper into the refrigerator for 3 to 5 minutes, and if it solidifies on the paper, then the mix has been well crystallized. If not set after 5 minutes, you need to further crystallize the mixture on the table. Once the hazelnut mixture is well crystallized, fold the pailleté feuilletine into the chocolate mixture and mix well until smooth. Transfer the mixture into a piping bag and cut a small tip to control the flow. Then, fill the prepared milk chocolate molds within 1 millimeter from the top. Tap the molds on the table to ensure that the filling is evenly spread in the molds. Place in the refrigerator for 15 minutes to promote crystallization of the filling. After 15 minutes, remove from the refrigerator and allow to crystallize fully at 18 to 20 degrees Celsius for at least 12 hours, but preferably overnight. Time to close the molds. For the ingredients we will use, as needed, Callebaut 823 Belgian milk chocolate. For the tools we will use, using a heat gun, slightly warm the top of the mold to barely melt the chocolate shells, so that when we close the mold with the tempered chocolate, the two will join together perfectly. Then, using a spoon, pour pre-crystallized milk chocolate over the mold. Tap the molds on the table to remove any air bubbles and to make sure that the mold is completely filled. With a scraper, remove the excess and clean the mold well. Tap again to flatten the surface of the bars. Place the molds on a metal tray lined with parchment paper and put in the refrigerator for 15 to 20 minutes to promote the crystallization. To unmold, first slightly flex the molds. Then cover with parchment paper and a metal tray. Then flip the trays over and tap the mold with a spatula. Carefully lift the molds. If any bars remain in the mold, repeat the same process. After unmolding, I would suggest to handle the bars with soft cotton gloves to prevent fingerprints. We finished these crispy praline bars, and as you can see, we have a great result. We learned how easy it is to apply pre-crystallized cocoa butter to our molds simply using a brush, and how to easily apply luster dust to our molds for a great effect. We also learned how to make a classic praliné filling with some added crunch. Lastly, we saw how to properly close our molds using pre-crystallized chocolate, and then how to unmold them. Thanks for following this Level 1 course. Be sure to check out our higher level courses for more complex creations once you've had some practice with this recipe. If you have any questions about the recipe, or if you'd like to see videos on specific content, leave us a comment and we'll be sure to respond. Thanks for watching and see you next time.